What is up, Kings? I hope all is well. So we're just going to dive right into this. Something that I don't want to say struggle with, but is like something that is of conflict in my worldview and my thought process. And by the way, I think any masculine man is inquisitive, is okay with having their worldview challenged and nailed down and refined and shaped, because masculine men yearn for truth and knowledge. This is why I think women struggle with this. This is why you commonly see women. By the way, this is not what this video is going to be about. This is just a side note. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this might be a good secondary video topic. But women do struggle with, like, not acknowledging truth if they deem it to be too harsh for another person. You know, it's your truth. You're living your truth. Your world, your thoughts are completely 100% valid and correct, because I don't want to step on your toes. I don't want to challenge your worldview. And I used to really wonder why that is the case when it comes to women, but it totally makes sense, because women, by and large, it is not in their nature to seek truth, to seek knowledge, not in a truth-seeking manner. They might seek knowledge in some facets, but they don't seek it in a truth-finding manner. They don't seek to have their worldview be consistent and logical and so on and so on. That is why it is very easy for them to just say, oh, no, they're just living their truth. Why do you care? We commonly see this when it comes to some other things. But anyways, so I think for men, masculine men, it is completely normal to have thoughts and your worldview constantly refined. So one thing that I am struggling with, and I'm going to do another video on this, I commonly see TradCon, for lack of a better way of calling them, I commonly see TradCon, especially women on X, saying that the red pill and the Manosphere is bullshit and that it is bad for men. I commonly see this. And I could not disagree with this more myself. On multiple different levels, okay? But you will commonly see this. And recently, Dyer's wife, I saw him or her. She has a video from like a year ago. I think her name is Jamie. She has a video from about a year ago where she has this kind of, overweight guy on to talk about just this, how the red pill is false and leads men astray. She has this episode where that is what she is discussing. And, on top of that, so I'm going to be doing a video reacting to that specifically. And for what it's worth, because I know for the people who are subscribed to my channel, I guarantee there's a lot of crossover to Dyer and, by extension, Jamie. Just to make it perfectly blunt, okay? I have tried to have Jay on my show. I really did want to interview him. He responded once, And it was very hard to find a date, and I put in 2 more attempts with no response. And I'm not a beggar. I don't beg, as my grandpa would say. I don't beg. Even though we all do beg at different points in our life. But I digress. But I do respect him, the content that he creates, and he is a huge, massive reason why I turned to orthodoxy. He opened my eyes to the errors in Protestant ideology, which is why I say that it is a very masculine thing to seek truth and to constantly refine your worldview. I really do believe that. And so with that, I had my mind changed pretty quickly, actually, because it was just so overwhelming that it was the case that sola scriptura and things like that came up massively short. And so with this, I'm open to changing my mind. But this one's a lot harder because, number one, I have a lot of anecdotal experience, not for me specifically, but with men in my family who I have seen go through super challenging times, getting divorced and the fallback of all of that. And honestly, the red pill stuff is just, quite frankly, pretty accurate. So let me get this more succinct. So Dyer, I respect him. He's a pretty big influence on me. This is not like a hate video on his wife or anything like that, at all. Okay. Like I said, I also today came across the video. I reposted it. I forget what the X account is, where the guy is basically talking about Rich Cooper and how Rich Cooper is basically the opposite side of the same coin as feminists. He is, a 50-year-old guy that is childless. He's not married. Essentially he's going to die alone, just like the feminist women, so on and so on. And so that is kind of what I'm responding to, because Jamie also kind of said the same thing, that red pill ideology makes men hate women. And they also said that it just isn't accurate, but their main argumentation was that it makes men despise women, not trust women, so on and on. And, I really struggle with this myself, because I've said this time and time and time again. I wish that I could live in ignorance. I wish that modern women were not modern women. I wish that they were soft and gentle and feminine like their mothers and grandmothers and women of old. I wish nothing more that was true. This is not something that I revel in. I am an Orthodox Christian man. I believe in the nuclear family. I myself want to have children and teach them all of the things that I have learned, and especially if I have boys, and teach them into adulthood and becoming men, strong, capable, masculine men. But you need to have a woman that you trust enough to do so. So this is not something that I revel in or anything like that. So I'm just going to like respond. Like I said, I'm going to be doing another video. This one is not going to be as in-depth as the next video I'm going to do. I'm going to, share it on my computer, share the screen so you guys can hear some of the critiques that Jamie said and the guy that she brought on her show, as well as looking at the tweet that I'm referring to. Sometimes I just have no choice but to just hit record where I'm at because of the, you just got to take advantage of the little bit of time that you might have to post a video. But again, I don't dislike Jay Dyer. I don't dislike, this is purely coming from a place of like self-introspection and, trying to get to the heart of this. So here's kind of where I'm at. Okay. Again, I wish that modern women were better. Conversely, but a lot of this has to do with women. Modern men are weak beta simps. And so it's kind of like this cyclical situation. But again, much of this started because of feminists. And feminists did this for a reason so that they could step into the void that they created and kind of have this indistinguishable situation where men and women are interchangeable widgets. Now, Marquette Devon Burton, who I'm increasingly not liking his content of late more and more, but I saw a short where he said that essentially feminism was created. He's the guy that's the saint and the sinner. He said that essentially feminism was created so that women could date other white women. It all comes down to wanting to date white women. And I guess on a certain level that makes some sense. It does. And it's funny because in Mad Men, there is the character that becomes like super close with Peggy Olson, and tries to make a move on Peggy, and she is like this low level soft, I wouldn't say butch in today's sense, but maybe butch for the times, lesbian. So maybe there is some truth to it. But regardless of how it's all started, men don't have a lot of options nowadays. Women want more. They expect more. So women's expectations have risen, while also simultaneously the opportunity that men have had in previous times to make more money and become more prominent has subsided. So you have less men that are even able to qualify for these women than ever before. Now, I know Jamie would disagree with that somewhat, and I also don't think I understand her disagreement. I wouldn't say that it's as bad as like Fresh and Fit or whatever make it out to be, because I see, decent looking women all the time with average, schmucks out and about all the time in normal everyday society, not Miami. But I also don't think that it's like as picturesque as Jamie wants to make it appear, where, women are totally, by and large, willing to find a man that demonstrates that he's going to be a good husband, a good father. Sure, he might not make $200,000 a year, but he's going to be there for his kids. And that's super sexy. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. But all these expectations have risen, and not only that, women are far less feminine. They are way more masculine by way of them being in the workforce. They don't believe in the idea of submission, and Jamie calls, men like me submission bros. It's like, no, listen, you can make fun of it all you want, but that's what it says biblically. And Jamie in the video also said that, yes, it says in the Bible that women should be submissive, but also you need to be a man that deserves submission. What? No. But all these things are in a vacuum, okay? What God is talking about when it comes to women is only pertaining to women. Okay, it's not this like, well, but the men though situation, like as Andrew Wilson would say, and by the way, I think Andrew would disagree with Jamie as I am right now. He wouldn't say, but the men though. No, it's all in a vacuum. So it's women, how are they supposed to be in their gender roles, and how are men supposed to be? A woman is supposed to be submissive regardless of the quality of man that she's with. If she's married to him, she's supposed to be submissive. And most church fathers would say you need to stand by your man as he is becoming the man that you hope for him to become. And this is the problem with modernity, is so many women say that they'll be submissive to the right man. And it's such false thinking, because it's like, Myron always uses the example, okay, can a man be masculine for 5 days a week, but also but wear heels on Saturday and Sunday and still be masculine? Fuck no. No. So it's not as easy to turn the switch between masculine and feminine as one might think. Submissive or not submissive as one might think. This is just a convenient excuse to use as to why you are not a submissive woman. Yes, I agree. Men do need to become more masculine, but men move in a way that they move in a way always that women permit. If women are purporting to these sad schmuck men that don't know any better that they want soft, gentle men, then men are going to be, unfortunately, weak, gentle men. Some. Not all, because usually our nature still does bear out, but still, there's going to be some. So yes, men do need to strive for more, but there are a ton of roadblocks. And so, time and time again, what I find with women like Jamie is, it's this constant, what about the men though? What about the men though? Men just need to be better. They just, women suck, but men just need to be stronger. They need to be, better husbands. They need to be more understanding of their wife, and, yada, yada, yada. And it's endless. It is endless. And that is the fundamental situation of the red pill is, no, if we live in modern times, then women are supposed to be held accountable just as much as men are. They just are. And so if Jamie is saying, as she said in the video, that women are no longer, this is why in their video they were talking out of both two sides of their mouth. If women are not, as they pointed out in their video, if they are not, and I'll link her video in my comment section when I post this, these helpless creatures like in medieval times any longer, according to Jamie and whoever. And thus they need to be treated as such. Okay, well then let's do that. Then I will hold you accountable like I would a man. This is the modern situation that so many men are dealing with when it comes to feminism, and whether red pill is good or not good is it's this buffet style where women kind of get to pick and choose every little thing that benefits them or doesn't benefit them, and make the argument as such. It's like, no, that's not consistent. You're not being consistent. So yes, I do think men do need to try to become more masculine, some men, and we do need to strive for masculine excellence and get out of this hellhole that has been created from feminism. But a way that will help us get there sooner is for women to be submissive and to be gentle and be feminine again. Because then men will have something to do this for. If men don't have, which nowadays they really don't, if they don't have a woman to do this for, if they don't see the cherry at the end of the stick, then they're just going to stop trying. And that is what so many men are doing because of women like Jamie. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm out. I'm done. It's never good enough. You never understand where we're coming from. Enough. I am just going to check out. So I don't want to spend too much time. Like I said, I'm going to do another video. But just to wrap this up, on the flip side, I do think there is a grain of truth to infantilizing the red pill and allowing it to make you be overtly and overly negative when it comes to your self-worth and your future. I'm not going to be Jamie and say that you know, there's tons of women open and available to you, like she says, you know, a ton of good, you know, traditional women just go to church. I'm not going to say that because I don't think that that's true. I think that women in the church are just as feminist as, you know, non-religious women. Case in point, Jamie. And I've seen it firsthand in my own church. Are they as feminist? You know, there's degrees to it. But I also don't think that it's as bad as Fresh and Fit and, you know, whatever. It is very easy to fall into the thinking that if you know, Tristan Tate Brothers, that if you don't have a Bugatti, if you're not making over $200K a year, then you have no chance. I know that that's false because I see it in my everyday life. I know that that is false. You know, because at the end of the day, women still do seek out relationships, and they're not seeking, it's not working out as much as it did in previous times. As you know, by 2030, you know, at least 50% of women are going to be childless and single. But still, there are still a lot of women who seek out relationships and don't want to be alone, and they, you know, they end up understanding where they really are at in the sexual marketplace and selecting accordingly. So I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. Either way, if you have any hope of being successful as a man, you need to apply the red pill in ways that are beneficial to you. You know, okay, yes, I can get in the gym a little bit more. I'm going to get in the gym. Okay, this is where, here's where my strengths are at. I'm going to refine here. But also I know that I need to have some confidence and I can't go too low on myself and too much in my head, and use the red pill as mainly a tool to delineate decent women from poor women, because that, for me, that's what I utilize it for. And yes, even for me, at times it was hard to not like get sucked into this, you know, negativity hole that is not believing that I measure up as a man after hearing red pill stuff. Okay, there are other things as a man that you can be attractive to women or around. For example, you can be funny. You can be confident, be articulate, speak well, be a highly relational individual that has a vast network of individuals and friends, and thus you're prominent. There's more ways to skin a cat. That's the thing about female attraction. And yes, I will agree with Jamie that displaying that you'd be a good father, that you can be counted on, that you have honor and you know, trustworthiness and stuff like that does help as well. At the end of the day, women are hypergamous. I totally disagree with Jamie on that. She doesn't believe that women are hypergamous. Jamie, you ended up with Jay, okay? Jay checks a lot of boxes, okay? You are the perfect example of hypergamy. I digress. And yes, women do care primarily about your ability to provide, your ability to protect, and nowadays, clout and notoriety. But there are other things that you can check off in finding a woman and utilize the red pill to navigate these waters and select women in a better, more useful manner for you. That is where the red pill is truly helpful. All right, guys, like I said, I'm going to have more. I'm out of time. We're almost at 30 minutes. I'm going to end it here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. I'll post Jamie's video in the comment section. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy with all facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, kings. See you guys next time. Christ is king. Peace.